Hi guys, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Resident underslash of underslash Collinwood for BitChute. And I am here, I am here to continue my revisited tour of John Philip Bencourt's continuing blog series, The Return of Dark Shadows, which returns March 9th. I'm really excited. I can't wait. I mean, this is one hell of a ride. I mean, seriously. So, here I go, guys. Series 2, Chapter 4, a plan in motion. The night was now in its darkest moments. The moon, still floating above like a bright sickle, hovered above Alexander and Christopher, blanketed by the frosty night fog. Alexander quickly regrouped from Claudia's possession, albeit a bit shaken and dizzy. During her time under Claudia's control, Alexander has been fully aware of all the events that had happened. She saw everything Claudia had done and everything that she had said, including what happened to Christopher the night of the full moon. When Claudia kissed Chris as Alexandra, she was able to see into his mind. All his emotions were there out in the open. Alex now knew everything about Chris and his ability to transform, but she kept it to herself until the time was right. Come on, we have to go after her, Alexander said, putting all that aside and rushing toward Collinwood. Who is she? Chris asked as he grabbed Alex's hand and they began to dash off toward the main house on the Collinwood property. You wouldn't believe me even if I told you, Alex said. At this point, with everything that's going on, I'll believe just about anything, Chris responded sarcastically. All I know is that she's some kind of sorceress, and she's very dangerous, Alex said, leading Chris through the foggy backwoods that separated the Collins family cemetery from the homes on the land. At the Blue Whale pub, Kimberly and Leopold sat enjoying a stiff drink, something Kimberly needed after the stressful last few days she had. Leopold was smitten by her beauty. Her crystal blue eyes seemed to look right into his soul and see every second he was hiding. Every secret, he was hiding. What Leopold didn't know was that was actually true. The truth about Kimberly's departure from Collinsport right after her divorce from David and affair with Victor wasn't one of shame and embarrassment. There was a mission behind it, a mission that would take years for her to complete. Now she had returned to do just that, rid the town of Collinsport of its evil and destructive citizens, especially those like the Collins family. When Victor and Kimberly first met, he was a stable hand on Collinwood, for Roger and David's horses. Victor saw some of the most sinister moments of Collinwood's history. The darkness, the evil, the undead. He knew all its secrets and tried to save Kimberly from the grips of the Collins family. For her part, Kimberly knew that there was something very strange going on in her new family, and Victor was able to convince her to take his side and try to destroy them before any more of their undead family ancestors returned. But Kimberly had to be trained. It was the early 80s when the affair first started. Caleb was a boy of 2 when she became pregnant with Christopher. It was a dark mark on the Collins family and David. divorced her quickly and won a custody battle for Caleb, leaving Kimberly and Victor to be together with their new son. As soon as the new baby was born, Victor sent Kimberly to a wooded area of Russia where a secret organization would teach Kimberly everything she needed to know to take down the family. Her knowledge of genetically altering human DNA was a desired trait for the mysterious group that called themselves the Organization of the True-Hearted, or the Oath, or the OTH, whatever you want to say. While in Russia, the mysterious leader of the OTH showed Kimberly a serum that mimicked the effects of the full moon had on a werewolf's bones, blood, and mind, so the person would change into a bloodthirsty, ravaging monster no matter the cycle of the moon. It was created for the sole purpose to destroy a werewolf's enemy, the vampire. It was a serum Victor was given plenty of, a serum he and Kimberly would learn to test and then use on their own child, Christopher. Leopold excused himself from the table and went over to the bar for another drink. Kimberly reached into her purse and pulled out her cell phone to text message Victor under the table. She quickly typed in her message and sent it. "I'm here with the main one, Deverner. Where's Christopher? Get the serum in him now," she wrote. "Vodka tonic," Leopold said, placing the drinks down on the table. "Thank you. So tell me again this story of yours. You're Carolyn's husband's cousin or something?" Kimberly said, trying to stall time for Victor, who still hadn't returned her text. "That's right. Jack Thorne was my cousin on my mother's side. We were close. You could say very close. I'm so sad that he's gone," Leopold said, spewing more of his cover story. Kimberly hadn't any proof that he was lying, other than the fact she didn't see his reflection in a mirror as they left Connellwood. The red flags were waving, but she only could pin down one, and still no reply from Victor. She began to get nervous. "Is everything okay? I know that you've had a terrible few days," Leopold, knowing her strange behavior. "My son, he and I had an argument earlier today before I was discharged. It's been a very tough few years for the both of us. I have been gone so long, so recuperating myself. I guess I should have done it slower rather than just show up," Kimberly said in a moment of real sincerity. "Caleb is a good man. I'm sure he'll come around," Leopold said, as the two continued to drink and make small talk. Caleb and Kat walked into the Blue Whale. Perfect timing for Kat. The worst for Caleb, who didn't want to see his mother at that moment. "Great," Caleb said, standing at the door. "What is it?" Kate asked, confused. "The one person you don't want to see, and she's right there. My cheating, lying mother," Caleb said harshly. Kate noticed that Kimberly was with Leopold, and she couldn't let Caleb ruin this moment for her. She needed to convince him that they should all sit together so that she could talk to Leopold and get more info on who he really was. "Come on, let's go say hello." "You can't stay mad forever," Kate said to an annoyed Caleb as she dragged him over to Kim and Leopold's table. "Caleb, I've been trying to get a hold of you all day," Kimberly said, reaching for her son and a hug. "I know. I've been busy," Caleb replied coldly. "Kate, you remember Leopold. Leopold, this is Detective Banning," Caleb added, reintroducing them. "We met briefly at the night of the fire. Good to see you weren't hurt, Kate said, making herself more comfortable in the booth. Leopold smirked and nodded in agreement. He was getting a very strange vibe from Kate, a vibe that Tim was making him uncomfortable, like she knew more than she was letting on. He could tell she was very interested in him in a way that sparked his suspicion. Tell me, Miss Banning, how long have you been a detective? Leopold probed, attempting to change the subject. About 2 years now. It's a hard job doing this, especially in moments like when we found Jack in the bay for no reason at all. Boom, there's a dead body in front of you. Mysterious, you know. I have to be honest here. Now that I mentioned Jack, I don't buy it that Jack Thorne killed himself. He's the fam. Has the family had any speculation on to why he would have? Kate said, putting all her cards on the table. Leopold and Caleb both knew the truth, that Jack was actually Leopold under a terrible witch's spell, and that the body found near the docks was someone Leopold had planned as a cover-up, but that hadn't anticipated Kate continuing to pursue the new closed case. I'm sorry, I don't follow, Kimberly interjected. Neither do I. It's a very bizarre story to follow, Kate said sarcastically, as she took a sip of her cold beer. Caleb looked at Leopold, the two feeling like sitting ducks for Kate's inquiries. The fact of the matter is, Detective Banning, Jack is dead. That's all. It's a terrible and unfortunate thing, and to have a family member's suicide brought up like this in a plane like this is highly inappropriate, Leopold responded. I think this is where I'll take my leave, he added, as he excused himself from the table. Kimberly, thank you for your company this evening. I'll see the two of you back on Collinwood. Caleb, may I see you outside for a second? Leopold continued as he motioned for Caleb to come outside with him. Caleb, worried of what Leopold needed to ask him, put his leather jacket back on and followed Leopold out into the cold night air and met Leopold in front of the Blue Whale pub. Listen, Leo, sorry about that. She's a detective. It's her job to... Caleb said as he was interrupted by Leopold, whose eyes had turned angry. Get rid of her, Leopold said in a deep and menacing voice, as he buttoned his peacoat high around his neck and walked off into the night fog, and leaving Caleb outside looking at Kate and Kimberly through the window. Alexander and Christopher continued to make their way over to Collinwood, running as fast as they could to the main house to warn Carolyn and tell her what had just happened in the cemetery. As they did, a jeep hidden from their view sat covered in brush just outside the main gates, left empty and abandoned by its owner. It was Victor's jeep, his cell phone still sounding a reminding beep for the message Kimberly sent. Victor, unaware of Kim's text, was crouched down in the bushes, dressed in all black, and waiting for the right moment to do what he knew he had to complete the mission he and Kimberly had taken on, a mission to rid the town of Collinsport of the evils the Collins family brought to life on their land and in their home. He waited patiently for the right time to strike, and when there it was, the perfect moment. Alexander and Christopher made their way around to the main entrance of the west wing that was undamaged by Claudia's fire. They were in a hurried pace to get inside to warn Carolyn of Claudia's release. As Alexander reached the door, Victor pulled out a rifle and placed his own son in the crosshairs and whispered to himself a small, quiet prayer. To his aim was perfect. A tiny bead of sweat dripped down Victor's forehead, and he pulled the trigger. The blast shocked Alex and Chris both. Alex screamed as it startled her, and she looked over at Chris, standing behind her. His face had changed. Chris! Chris! She yelled at Chris's arms reached out to her. Then a second and third shot came. All three targeted to Christopher's back, knocking him to the ground. Alexander screamed again as she fell to her knees and inspected the bullets. Only to her surprise, the gun had only fired 3 small darts. They were loaded with the serum that would turn Christopher back into the werewolf. The werewolf that would bring down every last Collins family member. So, man, Victor is a cold dude, and Kimberly is Kimberly the new bitch of the year? No, Claudia still got the award. She still got the bitch of the year. Here's the thing. Here's the most curious part of this right here. I really like, Victor is one hell of a heel, and so is Kimberly, but most heels always feel they're doing the right thing. Heels are always about justification, so when you get into a heel like these, like Victor and Kimberly, they feel they're justified by what they are doing. What I'm really interested in here is, most of all, is this just makes me think of how Christopher died and everything else like that goes forward for her. It's crazy because you have all this stuff going on with Alex, with Christopher. They're in a relationship. Alex was possessed by Claudia, who's Barnabas's daughter, and Evangeline. And that ends because she got out of the crypt. And now you have the plan of Kimberly and Victor, and they're going forward with it. It's happening now, and that is such a unique moment for them to pull this off. To try to pull this off here, you're saying to hell with your son. To me, Christopher's gonna know, to me, who changed him. He's gonna know he didn't change by himself. He's not stupid. Christopher's not a dumb kid. I do feel, if Caleb would have ever died, I don't think Kimberly would have ever forgave Victor. I mean, come on. But, so it's really interesting. I do wonder, it almost makes you wonder, how did Caleb and Kate stay together all this time, despite all this craziness? But they did, God bless them. Trying to think if there's anything else. This day was definitely about Kate, Caleb, Leopold, Kimberly, Victor, Chris, Alexander, and you have just everybody trying to get back to Collinwood, and everybody, you got plans unfolding, you got Kate snooping around, and shit is hitting the fan, ladies and gentlemen. So that's my review of this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoying the read-alongs. I'm sorry if I fumble the words at all. I probably don't do this justice at all. I probably don't, but it's really a good story. Link's going to be in the description box for both YouTube and BitChute. BitChute gave me some trouble on my last video I uploaded, so we'll see how this goes. Alright guys, I'll see you on the next one.